In this episode of the Happy Diabetic Kitchen podcast, it's all about unpacking the ultra-processed foods, what every happy diabetic should know. And our friends from Go Coco will be here, Bertrand and Julie. It's going to be an amazing episode with an amazing free offer from our friends at Go Coco. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. I am Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic. Welcome to the internet's most delicious cooking podcast. I'm here in the kitchen getting ready to explore a healthy diabetic lifestyle. I want to take the mystery out of healthy cooking, explore some amazing foods, and my diabetic journey with all my successes and all my challenges. Let me help you live your best happy diabetic lifestyle. So welcome to the kitchen. And if you're new to the show, I am so happy you're here. Hey, happy diabetics! Want the inside scoop on delicious, friendly recipes, expert tips, and inspiration to keep you feeling great? Well, sign up for the Happy Diabetic Kitchen newsletter and get fresh, flavorful ideas delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're looking for easy meal plans, smart nutrition advice, or just a little motivation from me, Chef Robert, the Happy Diabetic, we've got you covered. Best of all, it's free. Don't miss out. Join the Happy Diabetic community today and get my free 7 steps to healthy diabetic living and my bonus eating tips, all free. Stay up to date on new podcasts, insider tips, and more when you subscribe to our free newsletter. Sign up at happydiabetic.com and start your journey to a happier, healthier eating lifestyle. Today, we are diving deep into the topic that affects almost every pantry and plate in America: ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods have been subjected to heavy criticism over the past decade. Science continues to find new evidence that they are damaging to health and to the environment. I hear claims like early death, links to Parkinson's disease. For sure, more study is needed, but I believe this is all worth paying attention to. Also in the space, we talk about health for folks living with diabetes. I'd like to know, how does food that has been highly processed affect my blood sugar and my insulin? Why should people with diabetes pay close attention? Well, in the next few minutes, we will explore some surprising sources of ultra-processed foods and share label reading tips and simple swaps that can make a big impact in your diabetic health. So, whether you're newly diagnosed or decades into your diabetes journey, this episode will give you tools to feel more confident and in control. So, grab your grocery list, everyone. Let's get into it. I would like to welcome my special guests who are no strangers to the Happy Diabetic Kitchen podcast. Our guests today are the creators, the knowledge, the energy, and the teachers of my favorite app on the planet called Go Coco. So welcome, Julie and Bertrand. So excited to have you both here in the kitchen.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having us back.
So excited to have you.
Thank you. Excited.
Yeah, thank you. So please tell us a little bit about yourself for anyone who doesn't know you. And Bertrand, why don't you go first? Since this is your creation, your baby, you get to go first.
Thank you. So, as you have already noticed at that point, I'm French, so sorry for my accent. It's terrific. But I'm living in Spain for 15 years, and I have the same terrific accent in Spanish. But yes, so I have launched GoCoCo 6 years ago in Spain. GoCoCo comes from Go Conscious Consumer. And the idea from scratch was to help people living better, and especially people living with diabetes, cutting out ultra-processed food. So we are really focused on helping people detecting unhealthy ultra-processed food, and we try to provide them better options.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the podcast. Julie, your turn. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at GoCoCo.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm Julie Ruelle. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been with GoCoCo for over a year now, which has been a very exciting year. So many things have happened and so much has changed. It's great that we're back with you today to be able to tell you a little bit more about that. In my career, I've done clinical nutrition. I've worked for some of the big food companies, and now here I am at GoCoCo with the ability to really help consumers make the healthiest choices for them and for their families.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, Julie, thank you for being here. Welcome. So let's start simple, right? What are ultra-processed foods, or UFPs, as I like to call them, and why should people with diabetes be especially aware of them?
It's a great question. I think there's a lot, the term UPF and ultra processed food is being thrown around quite a lot now. Maybe even a couple of years ago, it's something we didn't hear in the news. GoCoCo was focused on it a few years ago, but it wasn't even something as a dietitian that I was hearing a ton about. But now it is becoming more of a household name. So it is a good idea to take a step back and look at what a UPF is. So the way I like to define it is it's things you wouldn't typically have in your home kitchen, maybe something your grandparents wouldn't even recognize as food. And there is a difference between processing and ultra processing. Processed foods are things that can be helpful, things like freezing vegetables or canning vegetables, or when we grind wheat into flour to make pasta and cereals, or milk being made into cheese or yogurt. Those are examples of processing. But it becomes ultra processed when we're adding things like non-nutritive things like additives, dyes, preservatives, things that improve the appearance, the shelf life, or the taste, but usually aren't adding any nutritional value. They're often created to be inexpensive, highly palatable, and oftentimes even addictive. And why should somebody with diabetes be concerned about this? Well, we do have a study in the Lancet showing that for every 10% increase in ultra-processed food consumed, the risk of type 2 diabetes actually increases by 17%. So there's a lot we need to think about with that.
Mm-hmm. And ultra-processed foods affect blood sugar, I'm guessing, insulin levels, and just overall metabolic health, correct?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
So can eating ultra-processed foods increase insulin resistance or worsen your A1C over time?
I think that's where the study is pointing us to.
Mm-hmm.
There probably needs to be more research done around it, but this study does show that increasing your consumption of ultra-processed food does increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. Many foods that have ultra-processed ingredients are also highly refined. So we're not eating the whole grain version of something. If we're eating a lot of ultra-processed foods, we're often eating the very refined version, which is going to have more sugar, less fiber. So that's certainly going to lead to increases in blood sugar. Oftentimes they have added sugars or artificial sweeteners as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that's going into ultra-processed foods that could be leading to insulin resistance or metabolic health.
And we know high fiber foods are good for insulin resistance, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
High fiber,
yes.
The whole grain version, the whole food version, which is pretty much the exact opposite of what an ultra-processed food is.
Right. Bertrand, you were going to say?
Yes, we have, interestingly, we have a lot of users telling us, for instance, that they used GoCoCo and Dexcom at the same time, stay low, and they noticed, for instance, that sweeteners had the same impact on us as sugar. So they were surprised to notice this, and since they stopped using sweeteners, they improved a lot A1C. So it's interesting because you say, hey, sweeteners should be better than sugar, no? But they notice that for them, it has the same impact at the end. So yes, ultra-processed food has a lot of impact, and we just start to understand all those impacts. But what is sure, they are linked to 32 diseases. So you should probably reduce your consumption.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, guys, are there specific ingredients commonly found in ultra-processed foods that pose a particular risk for people living with diabetes, like added sugars or refined starches or emulsifiers?
I think all of those that you just mentioned, and to clarify what Bertrand was just saying, you're referring to non-nutritive sweeteners, right? Like the artificial sweeteners, or not sugar or honey or maple syrup, but even things that are just the non-nutritive sweeteners like sucralose and things like that. That's what we're also finding with our research. People that are using GoCoCo and the Dexcom are seeing an increase in their blood sugar, even with those sugars without calories in them.
And to go back to your question, what we tell people is, let's try to, so all what you mentioned have a negative impact, but we should not focus too much on the ingredients level, I would say. We should try to see the big picture and just say, hey, let's say if your grandmother don't think it's food, reduce your consumption, no? And try to focus on real food. So what we try to push people is not see food as just nutrients plus ingredients, but to step back and say, hey, I just always try to focus on eating more real food and reducing globally my consumption of ultra-processed food. And it's true also that all the ultra-processed food don't have the same impact on your health. And that's why where GoCoCo is useful is we can make a difference between, let's say, ultra-processed food with a more healthy profile and less unhealthy profile.
Interesting. I know fat is a concern for people living with diabetes or belly fat, weight gain. Can you explain, does ultra-processed foods have a role in that, especially for people managing their type 2 diabetes? I was always told, watch your belly fat, watch your fat. Now, fat is fat. I mean, olive oil is fat. Avocado oil is fat. And those are healthier for you, monounsaturates. But how about the ultra-processed foods turning, not helping, but causing weight gain or belly fat?
Most ultra-processed foods aren't going to contain extra virgin olive oil or healthier versions of nuts, seeds. Those are the kind of fats that when I'm working with people with diabetes, we try to focus on consuming. To your point, the monounsaturated fats. Most ultra-processed foods are going to be dominant in the saturated or even trans fats, which are the kind of fats that all of us should be limiting our consumption of. So those are things like refined oils, margarine, anything that is a processed fat or oil are often in ultra-processed foods. So there's a benefit for all of us cutting back on those types of fats.
And those products also are designed to make you crave for them, by design. So they have a lot of empty calories. So there was an interesting study. They took 2 meals with exactly the same nutrient profile. So same percent of sugar, same number of calories, percent of fats. One was ultra-processed and one was not ultra-processed. People, when it's ultra-processed, they eat much more. So even if you had the same number of calories and fats than the unprocessed version, they eat more. And a good example I like is I can perfectly eat 2 bags of Doritos but I'm not sure I'm gonna eat two cans of corn, So
Right. Right.
versus Doritos, you can crave for Doritos. I never craved for corn. I like it,
Right.
but
And especially if you're sitting in front of the TV or a movie, you're almost hypnotized to the point where you don't even know you're eating all of this snack food. That's what happens to me.
so you don't. That's why it's tricky because they put you a serving size, but at the end you are always going to eat much more than the serving size that you see on the package because it's done, it's designed to make you eat more.
Yeah.
There is an interesting concept which is a bliss point. Do you know it, Julie, or I explain it?
Yes, yes. Yeah. You want, yeah. So what the study that I'm thinking of is it involves cake actually. And the very first bite of cake is the most satisfying or brings you the most
Mm,
joy. So every other bite that you take, you're still chasing that bliss point. And so you end up eating the whole piece of cake, trying to get back to that very first bite that was the best, most satisfying taste.
interesting. So you eat the whole piece of cake, and now you're just not really feeling that great, you right? Or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And it does, it's going to increase your blood sugar immediately, and you might feel a little bit better short term from that
Right.
hit of sugar, from that hit of dopamine.
Right.
But then that digests very quickly. You're going to have a low in blood sugar and you're going to feel like, oh gosh, I need more sugar. And it just creates a wave of up and down patterns all
Yeah.
throughout the day for people living with diabetes and for people not living with diabetes. That happens as well.
Yeah. Even more to the point, portion control, right? I mean, we know that that's one of the hardest things to deal with. But you don't need a giant piece of cake. A small cake will definitely get her done. What should someone with diabetes watch for on labels to maybe help them navigate or avoid what I would call hidden ultra processed foods?
My best advice for anybody checking out a food label is you want to see a short list of ingredients of things that you can pronounce. So if you're thinking about maybe a certain nutrition bar, you might see the ingredients are written in the smallest typeface ever. They're wrapped around the front of the pack, the back of the pack. What are all of those things? Those are certainly not things we'd have in our home kitchen that we'd be using on our own. So looking for products that have a very short ingredient list and you know what all of them are and you can pronounce all of them. That's the advice that I've been giving for quite a long time, and it aligns so perfectly with what GoCoCo helps you to do. So certainly you should check out the ingredients on your own, but then you can also scan it with GoCoCo and it'll tell you any ingredients that are in there that maybe you don't know what they are. It'll tell you if they're ultra processed or if they're not, if it's something that you should be, putting back on the shelf or something that's okay to go ahead and have. It'll give you that information.
Yeah. And I love the fact that Go Coco also gives you this really interesting green light, yellow light, red light alert kind of. I don't know if it's an alert, but it's helping you to understand what it is that you've just scanned and how it could affect. Because I think the last time we spoke, you said just because something comes up red doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily eat it. But I think knowing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I just think knowing the ingredients might help you make different choices. And another really great thing about the app is that it will give you different choices.
Yeah, that's part of my favorite part of the app is that there's an education component. So we don't want to just scare people. We're not here to be alarmists. We want to
Right.
help you to make better food decisions over time. And there is room for a little bit of, you know, less healthy things in a overall healthy diet. So it's not about being perfect 100% of the time. It's about making better choices over time. And I feel like the education component of the app can really help you to do that.
Yeah. I agree 100%. How can we rethink convenience when it comes to diabetes friendly eating?
there's a lot of foods out there that are convenient that aren't ultra processed. If we're thinking like plain nuts, um,
Apples.
apple fruits, right? They come in their own package. What could be
Yes.
more convenient than that? A banana or an
Exactly.
orange comes in its own package. Yeah, I love that. There's the middle of the supermarket is going to have a lot of foods that are ultra processed. But if you stick to most of your shopping around the outside of the supermarket, you're going to find those less processed, less ultra processed food products that we want to make up the bulk of our supermarket shopping.
And
Right.
I think convenience it's also a lot about planning, no? Because sometimes we start to eat unhealthy because we didn't plan and we pick up the first thing we see. So there is a huge part to plan a little bit your week, think about what you are going to eat. And I think also a really important thing is to create an environment that work for you, no? Not against you, I mean.
Yes.
In that point that if you buy a lot of unhealthy products and if you have them at home, you will eat them. So it's much better to be, if you are good at supermarkets and buy healthy choices, well, when you are at home and you are hungry, you will eat something healthy because you don't have bad choices. So you keep your motivation for when you eat outside. But at home, at least in my case, I try to buy mostly healthy. So when I have to buy less unhealthy things, I would say I do it mostly outside.
I mean, many people trust food labels. And I know GoCoCo really helps to take the mystery out of the food labels. And so many labels are listed like low sugar or diabetes friendly, whatever that means. Can these still be ultra processed?
Yes, they
Thank
can still be ultra
Yes.
processed, unfortunately. So a lot of the low sugar products, what are we putting in there to still make them taste good?
Right.
Maybe it's more fats, or maybe it's a lot of non-nutritive sweeteners, like Bertrand was talking about earlier. And usually there's not just one added to it. There's usually two or three. So taking a look at not just believing the food manufacturers that they're creating a healthier alternative, it's usually not healthier at all. It usually has so many things added to it to make up for what they're taking away from it.
Yes, normally
That,
the only place where you're not going to see low fat and diabetes friendly is on fruits and vegetable.
oh,
So,
that's brilliant. You're right. No, thanks for taking the mystery out of that for people, because I think that those terminologies really mislead people. Low sugar, diabetic friendly. Again, the label tells, right? I mean, I've never seen a word with 18 letters in my pantry, right, that I can't even pronounce. So,
Exactly.
how does eating ultra processed foods regularly affect hunger, cravings, or energy, especially for someone using insulin or managing their glucose with medication?
Like Bertrand said earlier, we don't get a lot of satisfaction or fullness from these ultra processed foods.
Hmm.
So it is so easy to eat a much larger portion than you would of whole unprocessed foods. So like when he was talking about Doritos, and most people have had an experience with some kind of chip or fried crunchy snack where, oh, I'll just eat a few, and then all of a sudden your hand is hitting the bottom of the bag. And why does that happen? Because they're designed to keep you eating more and more and more of them, and they're not making you have that feeling of satiety or fullness. So it's
Hmm.
just so easy to overeat them. And
Right.
I'll have people ask me like, well, what about carrots? Carrots have sugar. I shouldn't eat carrots. I don't know anyone that has a problem with overweight or even blood sugar control from eating too many raw carrots. So
Right.
I'd be much less concerned about any whole unprocessed food than I am about any ultra processed food.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing. I'll never forget someone that came up to me one time, and I was using I think raspberries in one of my presentations as a garnish or something. And they said, oh, my doctor said I can't eat raspberries. I said, really? Do you have like diverticulitis or do you have something like that? No. He just said there's too much sugar and I shouldn't eat them.
Yeah, it's one of the most high fiber, lower sugar foods
Yeah,
around too.
it's scary. It's scary. Well, guys, let's talk about some practical strategies because I think GoCoCo really, that's really where this app shines. So let's talk about some practical strategies. What can we and should we eat, and how can GoCoCo help us achieve our goals? So, what does the day in the life look like for mostly whole or minimally processed meals? What does it look like for someone living with diabetes?
Chef Robert, have you seen our new feature, the Real Food Tracker?
Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I think it goes so perfectly with your question because it's a feature that we've recently launched where instead of having to scan just a food label, you now have the option to take a picture of your meal or snack or anything that you're eating, and the app analyzes what percentage of it is ultra processed and what percentage of it is whole unprocessed fruits and vegetables. And it gives you some really practical advice as well. So it does a great job. I've been testing this quite a lot, and I'm very impressed by what it can pick up and the nuances there. It'll tell you things like, great meal. Next time, try whole grains instead of white rice. It'll tell you this is a great balanced meal with a lot of whole grains and fruits and vegetables. Next time, add some lean protein for even better blood sugar control. So it also tracks it over the days and the months and tells you how your percentage of whole foods and your percentage of ultra processed foods is trending, has changed. There's a lot of really great information in this new feature that I think can help your listeners quite a bit.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really amazing. Bertrand, was that your idea?
Oh, no, it was, yes, it was part of my ideas, but also talking with, we noticed that a lot of people living with diabetes was not necessarily using a diabetes app, but more apps like MyFitnessPal to track carbs.
Yes.
Because of course, carbs are really important. And at some point we say, hey, carbs are important, but maybe we should also focus on ultra-processed food. So at the end, with this feature, we can track ultra-processed food, your ultra-processed food consumption. And what is interesting is what we noticed is when you reduce your consumption of ultra-processed food, you see an impact on your mood, on your feelings really fast, in a few weeks, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
First impact, not everybody, but we have a lot of users told us, hey, in a few weeks, I already feeling better, So it's really exciting. And to come back to your question around the strategies, I really think that the first step is to check his pantry and say, at the end, check what is happening now. What are the small changes I could do to improve it? No, it's not about changing everything, but say, hey, maybe this, I could swap it with an unprocessed version, or maybe, as Julie was mentioning at the beginning, I love nuts. I could try nuts for snack instead of cereal bars. So there is it's starting with small changes. And a big one, an important one is what you drink, Try sparkling water, tea, coffee instead of
soda. Yeah.
Soda, exactly. So this one can make a huge difference. And in a few weeks, I would say, because the interesting part is when you ultra-processed food change a little bit your gut, and you start to crave for when you eat a lot of ultra-processed food, you don't really like fruit and vegetable because that doesn't taste good for you. And when you start to reduce your consumption of ultra-processed food, you start to see that it tastes much better fruit and vegetable, so you have a double impact.
Mm-hmm.
So small changes.
Yeah, I think small changes is always a good approach to people who are trying to eat differently. Don't go into it all at one shot. Take small steps. If you've never done one thing, try it and see how that works for you. Those are really, really, really good points. That'd be a really great thing for the listeners to do this week. Look at your pantry. Make a small, subtle change and turn your eating into a lifestyle way of eating that can be healthy for you. And, I just also want to say to the listeners out there, I don't work for GoCoCo, right? I have no interest in GoCoCo from a standpoint for me personally, except to the fact that it's an amazing tool to help me live better. And I would suggest all the listeners to do the same. So in closing, guys, let's just kind of round it up a little bit. What gives you hope when it comes to helping people with diabetes eat better and feel better?
What gives me hope is I feel like having conversations like this give me hope. Being able to talk about it, share some strategies. And one other strategy that I really like that builds on what you were both talking about. I love the small steps. I also love thinking about what can we add instead of what can we subtract. So instead of always focusing on the negative, like we shouldn't eat this, shouldn't eat that, how do we add healthy things into our diet? So let's just try to add more produce. And that's actually one thing GoCoCo tracks for you as well, is your percentage of fruits and vegetables. So instead of saying, I can't have this, I can't have that, let's say, hey, I'm going to eat more fruits and vegetables this week. That's a change I think a lot of us can get behind. So just wanted to throw that in there as one more tip for the listeners. But I think there's a lot more awareness and a lot more conversations going on around these topics. And for me, that definitely gives me hope.
Yes, exactly. Like Julie, I have the feeling that consumers start to fight back, let's say, against some bad players of the industry. And people are tired of these unhealthy food environments. So just to give you, we compared supermarkets in France, Spain, and in US. And in the US supermarkets, you have 50% more unhealthy products in the supermarket, 50% more ultra-processed food. So people are living in a bad food environment and they feel guilty, but they're not their fault. It's just you come in a supermarket, you have 75% of unhealthy product. It's hard to make good choices. So we tell people, hey, don't feel bad. It's not your fault. People try to blame you, but it's not your fault. And what we have hope because we see things are changing in the good direction, I think, around the food environment. And as people buy more and more healthy products, food producers are going also to sell more healthy products. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I like is I see results, some not for everyone, but I really see people saying, hey, in a short amount of time, you can see results. No, it's not, you can improve, so it gives you hope. And we see people doing really well, and it's good.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell everybody, where do I get this amazing app? And does it cost money? I mean, I kind of maybe walk us through the platform and how it all works.
So you can find it on the App Store and Android. You have a free version of the app. So during the onboarding, you can start a free trial during 7 days. You can cancel. If you not cancel, you will be charged, but you can cancel at any time. But mm-hmm. You can also skip the free trial and get access to the free version of the app. So you can perfectly use the app for free if you want. You will have less features, but you can, find it on App Store and Android. And of course, you can contact me. I leave you my email. If you have complaints, it's bertrand@gococo.app with a D at the end. So if you have any issues, please contact us with Julie and we will try to help you.
Yeah. And I think you guys told me one time, if you scan a product that's not in the database, let us know, correct?
You can let us know and you can contribute also. And it's one part I like of the app. It was not the case last time, but since then you can add yourself the information and we will automatically compute the score and it will be available for the next people, for the next person.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really amazing. So what else, guys? What else do you want to talk about? Anything else did we miss?
Yeah, I think one quick note about what Bertrand said. We don't just take complaints, we take feedback. A lot of the features in the app have come from user feedback. So I think we talked about last time, we didn't set out to make an app for people living with diabetes, but over time, what we found out from our users was that a lot of people living with diabetes were using our app. So we said, how can we make this even more beneficial for people living with diabetes? And that's where we came up with a lot of our features. So we really are in tune with our users and we want to hear from you. So not just complaints, send us your suggestions as well. And that helps us keep improving and keep making new features that can be helpful for different populations.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a big fan, and I think it's an amazing tool for anyone who just wants to be healthy, who wants to live healthier and help to avoid the landmines that are in the supermarket that are very cleverly disguised. And I just, even if I'm not buying it, like I'll just, whatever the food product, I won't name it, but if I'm not even buying it, I love just to scan it. Because I'm just super curious about, okay, what's in that, or what's how much sugar and salt, and so I don't know. What can I say?
For us, it's the beginning of the change. No, first step is to be aware. Once you are aware, it's much easier to change. So it's an important step. And just to finish, I will say also that food is joy, no? So don't feel bad if you are eating things unhealthy. Enjoy it. Just you try to not eat mostly unhealthy, let's say, but then if you have to eat whatever, just enjoy it. And that's why we love also what we do, because healthy eating is a lot about cooking, no?
Yes.
So we need to learn to cook, and part of the job is cooking. The secret of healthy eating, I think, is cooking.
Bertrand, I appreciate you saying that, because people who know me and know the podcast and what we do here at Happy Diabetic, we want to teach people to fall in love with cooking at home again, because that's the healthiest place to be eating, right? Not the drive-through or fast food. But food is not evil. Food is love, I like to call it, and you should enjoy everything about life, and food is a big part of that, and all that, bike riding and exercise or whatever you like to do. So again, what I love about GoCoCo is a handy tool to help me live my best happy diabetic life. So so guys, listen, thank you for being. Anything else you want to add? I don't want to cut you off.
Perfect for me.
Okay, Julie, are we good?
You summed it up very well with that last statement. I don't want to add anything else to that.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast. I love you guys, and would love to have you back again and talk about more updates on the app and so forth. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So it's time for that free offer I told you about earlier. It's from GoCoCo. It's 1 year of premium GoCoCo service for all the happy diabetics listening today. Now, I'll have the codes posted on our show notes, so you'll find it all there. But basically, if you're an Android user, you're going to use the code HAPPY when you subscribe, and the code will allow up to 90 days free at a time. It can be used 4 times. So what does that mean for you? 1 year of premium GoCoCo for free. And if you're an Apple iOS user, simply click on the link in the show notes and it will take you right to the subscription page. That's 1 year of premium GoCoCo for you from Bertrand and Julie for free. I'm so excited. that you have this opportunity to try this amazing tool that I use every time I go to the supermarket. All right, everybody, here we go. We're heading to the hometown stretch. Stay tuned, everybody. Are you ready to take control of your diabetes and health without sacrificing any flavor? Welcome to the Happy Diabetic Cooking Academy. If you're living with diabetes or just looking to make healthier choices in the kitchen, this is the place for you. Imagine delicious, easy to make meals designed to keep your blood sugars in check without giving up the foods you love. With step-by-step video lessons, expert nutrition tips, and a community of like-minded food lovers, the Happy Diabetic Cooking Academy will help you feel confident in the kitchen and excited about every single meal. Join today and start cooking with joy, flavor, and health in mind. Visit happydiabetic.com/academy. That's happydiabetic.com/academy to sign up now. And like all the suggestions that we've talked about today, remember to consult with a healthcare professional for your personalized advice and guidance tailored to your specific needs and medical history. One size does not fit all. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice. The views expressed on this podcast may not be those of the host or the Happy Diabetic Kitchen. Always consult your medical team if you're planning on making any changes to your health plan, medication, lifestyle, or anything going on with your diabetes. Remember, I'm not a doctor, a certified diabetic educator, or a dietitian of any kind, although I am a father of 3 amazing kids, Attila, Dracula, and Frankenstein. Well, that does make me a psychiatrist of sorts. Well, my mother wanted me to be a doctor. Does that count? And if you're loving the podcast, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss one single episode. The Happy Diabetic Kitchen is made from scratch, seasoned with love, cooked to perfection. Thanks everyone for listening, and our theme music is by the Happy Diabetic Kitchen Band, and of course our kitchen mascot cat, Tucker. Remember everybody, this year better than last year. This month better than last month. This week better than last week, and this day better than yesterday. Thanks for tuning in everybody, and let me leave you with this thought from Chef Wolfgang Puck. He said, cooking is like painting or writing a song. Just as there are only so many notes or colors, there's only so many flavors. It's how you combine them that sets you apart as a great home cook. Remember, my friends, no one loves you more than me. Stay happy, stay healthy, and keep cooking delicious, diabetic-friendly meals. So until next time, chef it up.